Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Everything is Onions, where we peel back the layers of life one truth at a time. Deep conversations, raw truths, and no tears. Well, mostly. I'm your favorite host with the most, Koko. And today we have a guest.
Hey y'all, I'm Denver, her little sister, our favorite little sister. Is that right?
This is my little sister, y'all.
The disrespect I endure over here.
What are we essentially calling this episode?
Sister Talk Part 1 is what it's going to be.
From a millennial to a Gen Z. From a millennial to a Gen Z with love.
She loves categorizing us.
Oh, that can be our clip art.
Thumbnail.
Okay, whatever. You know the fuck I'm trying to say.
From a millennial to a Gen Z. Let me see.
Can you get your heart right? Why you make it look crazy?
For reference to my Gen Zers out there, I'm 24.
I'm 33.
So if that helps.
Yeah.
So I'm not really too sure how big the Gen Z gap is, like what years.
You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
Or what the age gaps are called?
Yeah. Well, I just really care to know Gen Z when it started and when it was over, because apparently there's a whole different taking over the world. Which is so wild because I remember just being the kid.
I don't know when you were a kid.
It wasn't too long ago. Honestly, I woke up one day and was, I guess.
So it says that millennials are born from 1981 to 96, and Gen Z is 97 to 2012.
I am 01. So
being born after 2000s is a simulation. I remember when everybody thought the world was going to end.
they think the world's going to end every year, every day, every month because of something of the sort.
You know what? I wonder the people who like starting conspiracy theories, if they just be like, let me say some wild ass shit and see how many people believe it.
Mhm.
I can only imagine how many people there are that have like just said some stupid shit like as a social experiment, or like, you know how like an easy way to figure out who be telling your business is to tell somebody some bullshit just to see like who hears what, and it's like I intentionally told you some dumbass shit to see who. I wonder how many people do that with conspiracy theories. Like they know whatever they're saying is complete bullshit or it's a lie or it's a joke, and they're joking, but it's people who like run with it. Like I really want to know who's like the Earth is flat.
And the whole world wants to know.
Now the whole world wants to know.
The whole world wants to know.
Okay, so first question, before we get serious, how would you describe me as a sister in 3 words? And you don't have to lie because the internet will judge you.
If I had to describe you as a sister in 3 words, I would say strict. I would say,
Are you channeling from Miss Cleo or something?
I'm really trying. I'm using my words wisely.
Okay.
I'm really thinking my answers through. This is kind of hard. I want to say distant, but not in like a bad way. But you're just.
I'm a loner, is what you're trying to call me. I am a loner. I do like to be alone.
But we're also like at a wide age gap as well.
This is also very true. But I would like to think that the word that you're trying to go for is loner. Because, I mean, saying that I'm distant, I'm really not distant. I'm just like, I like to be by myself. Because in reality, like, that's why my phone is always on Do Not Disturb. Anytime my phone is off of Do Not Disturb, I feel like everybody is going to call me with a problem. Every single time. At 6 o'clock, like, you know how it's turned off? It's like, for me to wait. People literally wait for 6 o'clock to hit, 6 o'clock on the dot. And people are calling me like, yes, you're up now.
I need one more word. People channel it in.
So are we going for loner?
Well,
strict, loner.
I want to say distant.
Okay, strict and distant.
And real / honest. Two words for one word.
Real strict and distant.
For real. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is.
I absolutely agree with you 110%. Like when you sent that one message in the group chat, like, absolutely not. Courtney's voice. At least you know. Absolutely not. We're not clickbait.
I do know.
What is something you thought I was wrong about growing up, but now you realize, like, dang, she was kind of right?
I don't think there was anything that I thought you were wrong about. I just think that there were things that you were trying to get me to understand that I just couldn't because I hadn't experienced certain things yet.
Yeah, sometimes I think I'm one of those people where I be saying stuff, like I be way ahead of the game when I be saying, like, I really be seeing everything like very like broad picture. I feel like I'm just always the head of the curve. Like people might be thinking I'll be wrong about stuff until like later on, and it's like, oh, damn, this bitch was right. Do you think I give good advice, or do you think I just talk confidently?
Both. I feel like you give good advice in a short part of your grand scheme of the story, if that makes sense.
What do you mean?
You talk confidently, like you back up all of your advice with evidence or proof
Mm,
or
mm.
a story to align with why you're giving the advice. But it's like I trust you already.
Oh, love that. What do you think older generations get completely wrong about Gen Z?
That we're lazy and entitled and don't want to work and that we just are stupid. But it's like we just know how to play the game, the system, because we are the current generation creating the game, honestly. I think we want to work in a way that benefits us to the fullest capacity versus going to somebody's 9 to 5.
In what sense? What do you think Gen Z is creating?
The future, we're creating literally the future.
Of what?
The world, okay? What do you mean?
Mm.
What do you mean? We're creating the future of the world. I don't know. We are what is going to be for the next couple of years, for the next couple of decades.
How? If
Our
you, I feel
systems.
like if you guys are very heavily reliant on like AI. Like I think that's the difference between 100%. Do I understand like the idea of thinking you guys are like lazy and stuff like that, and I also feel like that's a bridge kind of thing. Like where I see the reason why I think, not just because I'm a millennial, but the reason why I think millennials are interesting is simply because millennials are kind of like we're in the middle of things. So while like boomers and back and stuff like that are used to everything being manual, y'all are used to everything being easy.
I
You get
think
what I'm
that's
saying?
what
And we're like millennials are middle ground transition, right? So like for y'all, social media has always been a thing, right?
no.
Yeah.
Not I think that's millennials' biggest like take that they try to have in this
But
this world.
it's not even just that. It's like all the way across the board. That's what I mean. Like what I'm
Right.
saying is this is like, okay, what when I was born, like talking about like let's use TVs as a good example.
Okay.
I was around when rotary phones were a thing.
Okay.
Do you know how to use a rotary phone?
Is that the
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do.
Okay. So like with things like that where kids that are born now can't like they didn't go through that. Where I remember rotary phones. I remember like the phones that were on the hook. I remember when phones got off the hook. We've transitioned more, therefore our brains are kind of geared to um work smarter, not harder, but also be able to have critical thinking. I think the difference between millennials, Gen Z, and like boomers and back is that boomers and back had to do everything manual. So of course they look at y'all like y'all are lazy because the things that they fundamentally had to do or had to learn, we can see the difference between Gen Z now with everything being so quick, like even with Chat GPT, like how many people use that? And
But
again,
that's now. That's now. I think y'all we have to remember that social media wasn't there when I was born. And we also were there in the transition of there being no social media to there being social media. Like I would say social media really wasn't a thing for me until I was in middle school, like sixth, seventh, or eighth grade, which is a long time without. Yeah, there was Facebook and whatever,
but like that's what I mean is like what we were just talking about, like with the internet, how the internet has been something that is normal to you, like your whole life, essentially, right? Where there are boomers who that was introduced more so later on in their life, where that was introduced kind of like right on time for us, if that makes sense. Like I know that kind of sounds weird because it's like, what the hell you mean right on time? But like again, I remember when the internet was hooked to your landline to now we could pick up any you have devices everywhere. Your fucking camera is on the internet.
yeah.
As opposed to it was a one device. I had one computer in one room that everybody got on, where we have everything that is attached to the internet, things like that, like being able to look at the vast difference of where something started as opposed to where it's at now. Like even with y'all, I think the biggest part of it is critical thinking because every like the way that technology was already advanced by y'all's age, like by the time, like you said, like middle school, by the time you were in middle school, if we have I would have been in college, right? I would assume. How about I have middle school?
Sixth grade, I was like 11, 12.
So yeah, I would have been in college. So even looking like at that difference, even again, social media. I remember when AIM was a thing. So they used to put like for the internet, you used to have they had like a it was like a you had to install it essentially. So you had to install it onto your computer, and usually it was AOL. They used to give out like these free trials and these little like this, and that's where AIM started. So, like, as a millennial, thinking about the advancement of social media just in general, of being on AIM where all it was a chat. And a lot of the times you would ask your friend, it was just your friends. So it was kind of like text messaging before text messaging was normalized, right? So you went from AIM to I feel like Black Planet was a thing first, but that was a little bit more adult. So that's when MySpace kicked in. And even with MySpace, again, it was just your friends or just people you added. You had the text features and you could post stuff and, post stuff on your really what I feel like is not fucking talked about enough is how millennials were fucking coding at 12, 13. We were coding, like full blown coding back then. And like nobody talks about that. That is such a fucking thing. But again, we were learning. Like that's the difference. I feel like the in between millennials and like Gen Z and even boomers, all the way manual. They want to do everything by hand. Y'all, the technology has pulled away the critical thinking part, right? Where millennials have always had to think critically because we've been there for while things are continuing to advance. The internet, social media, like I don't know how to explain it. I think maybe only millennials really like understand what I mean, but I feel like the difference between like even with boomers with trends and texting and phones and stuff, how boomers be like, you know what? Keep that. And Gen Z is so used to like technology that it's easy for like Gen Z and on to use technology. They know how to do any and everything. Where me, I may not know how to do it, but I can figure it out. Is kind of like the bigger point, you know?
Can you say so?
I don't know.
I think that we had a lot of time before social media and technology were so advanced that we could use it to our advantage. I do think that we had a long period of time where we still had to think critically and use our resources and not have social media, not have the internet, not have resources like ChatGPT. I'm just now using ChatGPT and I'm in college. So
Yeah, I've only used it. I recently started using it. I didn't even have the app on my phone.
yeah, I think like I have a lot of critical thinking skills and grew up in a time where we still had to actually do things ourselves and not rely heavily on technology or social media
To get things done. I'm hollering. You about to be like, girl, fuck you. But even that sounds crazy as hell to me because like y'all don't think critically. What's something Gen Z takes way more seriously than we did at your age?
I would say our peace in our
Is the we millennials?
I'm assuming. I mean, you make these questions or you we're just gonna for reference, we're gonna say we as millennials. But I think you guys we take our peace and our sense of self more seriously.
I feel like I feel like that depends on a person, honestly. Because I definitely, you already know how I feel. Like absolutely, my piece is always going to be the priority.
I just think as far as in all aspects of life, in our work environment, school, every day, I think we're very dependent on doing things that are good for our mental health and our peace and our sanity, which is why I think a lot of millennials and older think we're lazy because we'll call off if we need a mental health day because people need mental health. It's like,
Again, maybe it's the millennial in me, but again, balance.
I mean, there is a balance, but mental health is important. Mental health is very
I
important.
absolutely agree.
And I don't really think there's a duration of time that people can say that they need for their mental health because your mental health is an ongoing battle.
But I think here's the difference between mental health and actually being fundamentally lazy because things stem from a place, right? So if you don't work and you don't have a job and you're depressed because you don't have any money, you are lazy, sweetie, because if you're not working, you're not putting money in your pockets. So if you don't have money in your pockets, of course you're going to be sad and feel away. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's no fun to be broke. But again, if you're the cause for the reasons, so yeah, oh, I don't like this job and I don't like this and I don't like that and I don't like my boss. That's cool in theory. Sure, protect your peace. But if you're ultimately the one that is causing the dissatisfaction in your life, especially because you feel as though you're bigger than the program. Like, I think that is essentially the issue, or maybe that's what boomers or maybe millennials aren't really explaining to y'all is you got to look at where certain things come from, right? So I'm 100% with you with the protecting your peace part, like 100%. But I also have to take a very big look at myself and see where I'm also causing myself stress and strain with my actions. Like, I think maybe that's the missing key. I don't know. Y'all got to tell me in the comments, but
Maybe so.
like honestly, because I think you kind of said earlier, like people like older generations think y'all are like lazy and entitled. Um, yes, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. Um, that it's, and I think I want to make this a little bit more specific to the Black community because I feel like we don't, when we start these talks, we leave a lot of things out. And something that I realized, like even what you said, like we're protecting our peace. If you have a grandparent that was alive during the civil rights movement, do you think they gave a fuck about not being depressed and being sad and mental health fucking days? No.
Well,
They didn't even have the space during everyday life to be worried about being depressed
but they did all this fighting for us to be able to have those days. So why are we not able to take them?
because again, it's losing the plot. Like it's missing the plot. When, how do I say this? M- Pushing a needle forward to get people somewhere and them not continuing to push it forward is crazy.
You
So
don't think we're continuing to push it forward?
no,
Mm.
absolutely not. Because I feel like where y'all are sitting, like I want to point out that one time I went to a like convention and it was called the NFBPA, if I remember it correctly. And I think it was called like the National Public Black. Let me look it up because I don't even want to be disrespectful.
I want to say before she continues, before I lose my thoughts, as far as laziness goes, for example, someone of millennial era or older would say a Gen Zer is lazy because they don't want to do a job that they had to do in their time. We would rather do something like content or X, Y, and Z. which apparently doesn't take too much, or it's just getting on your phone, recording yourself, or however they try to dumb it down to make it seem like it's not that much work or effort as doing something else. As far as pushing it forward, I think what Gen Z and older millennials and older people and younger people are doing it as well. But I think we come out with content creation and making wealth off of our phones and off of social media, which is pushing us forward and like it's pushing Black excellence forward, it's pushing Black luxury forward, Black people being able to afford nice homes and travel and do things that they would have not been able to do working a 9 to 5 job. And I think our generation has heavily pushed that. I think we are pushing it forward a lot.
All right. I did figure out what the company was called before I lose my train of thought because it'll piggyback off of what she just said. So the NFBPA is the National Forum for Black Public Administrators. And when I did this convention, I don't think I knew what it was. Like, I know I didn't know what it was. I just knew I was like booked for the convention. But I remember talking after I got there and I was like seeing like this is like Black people, like hell Black people, and realizing what it was. I Googled it. And I think I sat and talked to 2 or 3 different women who they were essentially saying that this is literally a organization for Black people and to help push forward in the government, right? And basically to help them with everything that they need. Like obviously, this is a network of people. They were from all over the country, literally. Mayors, lawyers, councilmen, everything. And the one thing that woman said to me was, "It's so crazy that we fought so hard for positions of power for ourselves, and the people don't come." Like, you do want the younger generations like, when you look at how old Martin Luther King was, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, do you know them? They was in their 20s. They were young. And the difference between, again, pushing the needle forward, who gives a fuck if you can go on a trip? A lot of the times people are in y'all are creating so much debt for yourselves because y'all are young and the things that you think that is air quotes Black excellence, where's the excellence there? You just saying what you said about Black excellence and talking about taking trips and making content and things like that and not really looking at what Black Wall Street actually was is wild. Doctors, there's longevity in those jobs and they also push us forward, especially when you look at where we are in the climate today, where we look at um healthcare, right? How Black people have been science experiments as long back as we can think, document, right? And we see things every single day about Black women, dying during childbirth. We see hella statistics about Black men being killed, walking into their house or walking down the street, whatever. And to say that content creation is pushing a needle forward is insane. Because what is that doing for our community? What is that doing for the people? That's not getting us anywhere. For again, looking at the difference between the civil rights movement, these people were fighting for the advancement to us, and what y'all think is pushing the needle forward, or like from what you're saying, is getting on the internet and making money. In my personal opinion, Black people making money is not nothing new. Black people have been doing that, I I think that is wild to not understand. Looking, and again, longevity, having a sustainable career, because again, all this stuff is fun and games, getting on TikTok and streaming and da 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 da. Do you think you're 24, right? Do you want to see a 52-year-old streamer? Are you going to watch a 60-year-old streamer? Yes, no, maybe so.
Maybe so.
I mean, I do think that it's great when it's great. Like, everything is not for everybody, and I feel like that's kind of like when I was growing up. I think more so what was being pushed in the early transition years, like college and into high school, that kind of thing. Early 20s was everybody wanted to be a rapper, or like they wanted to be in the NFL. Like, they wanted certain dreams or they were aspiring for certain things and thinking that was air quotes like black luxury. Like every generation has, you know, the different things, the things that are trendy, the things that are fun, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not pushing us nowhere. Especially depending on the content. Definitely depending on the content. Somebody getting on TikTok dancing, where is that pushing the black community forward? Somebody getting on online, and I'm not even gonna say that girl's name because I'm not giving her no clicks or views. But getting online and promoting your domestic violence relationship just because you put on wigs and you be cute with the wigs on. Yeah, you make great money, whoop de doo. But look at what you're putting out into the world. You know what I mean? Like content creation is cool. It's a great source of income, but if we're really being honest, most motherfuckers don't need a platform. It's literally the blind leading the fucking blind. Like, again, there's no real longevity in that. And I do understand why when we were kids and our parents used to be like, you talking about being a rapper, being on Bad Girls Club, because that was a thing. That was definitely a thing that I definitely told my parents, like, oh, we're going Bad Girls Club. And my parents was like, girl, go to school. And we could use Natalie Nunn as a case study. How, yeah, Natalie is probably doing great. Possibly, because I'm going to scream this to the mountaintops. If you spend more money than you make, you're broke. We're going to lay that out there. But, you know, Natalie Nunn is probably the only person's name who's buzzing off of Bad Girls Club, you know? And I can't even tell you how many seasons of Bad Girls Club it was. But for one girl to only successfully launch off of that, and then you look at two, like you said about the content creation, you look at Zeus Network or Now That's TV and what they're promoting. Y'all are content creators, but you think that's pushing the needle forward? You think that's helping the black community?
I think there are positive outlets that positive content creators. You're on talking about Natalie Nunn and her bad crew and what they do and what they push and what narrative they point out. But there's people that point different narratives out and have different viewpoints and document different things besides Zeus Networking,
I mean, of
Bad
course.
Girls Club. So let's talk about them.
Okay, let's talk about them. Who are they?
There's there's lots of people that promote wellness, that promote health, that promote a lot of positive things in the community or in the world in general on every social media platform.
I mean, yeah, of course. But what I'm saying is, like what you just said, I would assume that you would tell your kid that. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the way I think about what you just said. Like how you were like, you know, we're not entitled, we're not lazy, content creation, blah, blah, blah. Like everything that you just said. In my mind, I'm hearing that as if you would tell a child that and how a child will receive that. Or even if it's not a child, somebody that you influence. So even with what you just said, technically, it's almost as if it contradicts itself thinking about how you are like what's pushing the needle forward. Because do I realize, because you just said content creators, right? Just bland, yes?
Yes.
What you followed up with, like the traveling and like, you know, making money off a stream. I guess my thought is like, or at least I would kind of be thinking if I'm listening to you, is where is that pushing the needle forward?
I think that the money people can make off of social media or off content creations to start businesses to create generational wealth is pushing the needle forward. I think it depends on what you're doing with your content creation and how you're portraying yourself. But I think, how can I put it into words? I believe with certain people having a platform to express their opinion, to offer their resources and their help, to create content, to inspire others, is pushing the needle forward. It's showing a different lifestyle than what we are used to, especially in the Black community, is what I can say. I think with content creation, like I said, people invest in businesses that create generational wealth for themselves and for their families. Like, I don't know how you don't look at that as pushing the needle forward.
Again, going back to what I was talking about with the NFBPA and talking about how our Black leaders were young, right? Because essentially the younger generation is the future. with what you're talking about, and if we're gonna dive into it, the government is pivoting. They're putting all these things into the Black communities, especially to make us think certain things, right? Like the idea, and I realize my proximity and my experiences are the reason why I understand and think this way. But that's like when you hear a lot of Black people talk about Black luxury, they talk about Black luxury in having things but never owning them, right? So that's like with homes. And I know you didn't say this. I'm not talking about you, but in the again the bigger scheme of things, right? There's actually something. It was like, I don't know if it was an ad, but it was actually very old. It was came out like the 60s or the 70s, and it was basically how to sell to the Negro. And a bigger part of a problem within the Black community is the idea of luxury, the idea of having things and being able to flaunt or flex or show off things when in reality we're running on a rat wheel. So like I was talking about with ownership, you have so many Black people, especially in 2025, that talk about they would rather have a nice high rise or a nice apartment because this is luxury and will pay whatever it is they have to pay to make themselves seem or feel or reassure themselves that this is luxury, right? But you don't own it. There's somebody that you're paying your money to. That's what real luxury is. When you talked about generational wealth, what the idea of what for the most part we think is luxury is not luxury.
But when I think of luxury, I do think of ownership and I do think of generational wealth. When I say that's what I am referring to.
Okay, so do you think that's all the way across the board amongst y'all? Like,
No, I don't think everyone thinks that way. But I'm not, and I don't think every millennial thinks the way that you think.
Absolutely not.
So
Absolutely. I think that is,
for myself,
again, that's proximity.
Yeah.
The larger part of the things that we know is proximity. It is experience. And unfortunately, um, we're in a time right now where, like I said, about everybody doesn't need a platform. The problem is the people today are stupid. The younger generation is not that goddamn smart because they don't have to do the footwork, the legwork of things. It is right there for you. So something that I think is, I know the government be doing a lot of shit. If it ain't the fucking government, it's fucking aliens.
which is the government.
There is somebody, I feel like there are a few social experiments that the government does every day.
It's the biggest social experiment that we live in every single day. This life that they have trained us to live and to think in our mind is normal is complete chaos in other countries. If we're being real.
But you know what? The one thing I be shutting the hell up. I be shutting the hell up when it comes to anytime people talk about other countries. I don't live there. I don't know.
We know.
Everybody got different struggles. You know what I mean?
This is
like
true.
everybody
This
talks
is true.
about,
I agree.
like, oh my God, Americans and their fucking gun violence. Yeah. And Europe and y'all fucking knife violence.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just because it's not the same thing, or like Americans don't have free health care, but we do over here. Y'all got your own fucking problems too, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, let's not do that.
Yeah.
That's why I be sticking to it. I'm only talking about America, bitch. I'm only talking about America. But like, for instance, PEMDAS questions. That is, I feel like every fucking year, there is a PEMDAS question that is very easy to do if you actually understand PEMDAS. Yes, if you understand the idea of it. I bring it up all the time. And there were people, like, seeing how many people argue on the internet about it was wild, because I had broke it down like 5 different ways. But the bigger point of it is I think that they do shit like that just to gauge education and understanding, to see how stupid we are as human. Because even, okay, so like what I said too, piggybacking off of what I just said, right? I know there was a TikTok creator who said this. I've thought about it, but never kind of like brought it out to words. But he was essentially talking about, have you ever thought why we don't assassinate Black leaders anymore? Have you ever thought about that? They have dumbed us down. That is the bigger point about like why you said what you said. The government is laughing. They're laughing at us because, yeah, go make that content. Go do those TikTok dances. Go over there and stream.
It's shitting on my whole.
I'm because it was the point. It was a part of the bigger plan. You understand? Like, even that is the plan with y'all, is for y'all to be so consumed in social media and creating content that you think is interesting that you're not thinking about the bigger fucking issues, that you're not thinking about the bigger problems. That same thing with not assassinating leaders. Why do you think they put crack in the black communities? You black motherfuckers is thinking a little too goddamn hard, bitch. Y'all are thinking too hard. And when you cause people to be free thinkers, now don't get me wrong, because like the Black Panther Party and all that shit, they had their own fucking problems. They had the right idea though. I will talk about this later in further detail. But something that I have realized is deception is way more effective than brute force, right? So if you understand that idea at its core, that's why when you look at manipulation in a big grand scheme, like in a sphere, right? It is easier and way more effective to control someone's mind than it is to beat them into submission. The government being able to, George W. Bush is going to fucking hell and the hottest of the gasoline of draws. But people don't even realize, especially Gen Z, like y'all, and this is plain facts. This is why Gen Z, like when people are talking about y'all lazy and y'all entitled and y'all all these other things, y'all, and I don't want to say you specifically, but your generation has grew up under what is called No Child Left Behind. They are pushing children through. Kids today are going out into the world as adults because yeah, that shit is cool while you're a kid. You get what I'm saying? Like it's cool when you're looking at the little picture of it. Like, yeah, your kid is fast and they're going through whatever. But the kids are fucking stupid. The kids are fucking stupid. Y'all can't read, y'all can't write, y'all are fucking illiterate. And then you're about to be 18 and you go out into the world where that shit don't apply. That No Child Left Behind don't apply. Nobody gives a fuck when you go. That's what I was saying to you about causing your own problems and the reasons why you can sit here and talk about mental health all day, right? But if you are the cause for your mental health, if you don't get up every day and go to work, life fucking sucks. I think that's a bigger thing too that people don't want to be real with. Life fucking sucks. People die. That shit is depressing. In general, like thinking about fucking dying will have me up all night. But the things that we go through in life, grief, sadness, anger, loss, all the things that we experience, all those things flow into mental health. Like I absolutely understand you like talking about protecting your peace. But I think the bigger part of y'all's generation that y'all are missing is the people before you are not giving y'all the tools to really understand what is pushing the needle forward. And I think I'm honest enough to say that it does come from older generations because even if we look at boomers as our grandparents and then look at like my age of parents, Black people went from survival mode 100%, all of us. If you were Black, you were in survival mode, period. Like seriously, like if you look at going all the way back to the first of our ancestors that hit America, survival mode. Literally, there was no flight. Bitch, y'all was always in motherfucking fight mode. That is generational trauma. That is emotional trauma that has been passed down over years that we are finally kind of in a place where we can pivot and go to therapy and, do all the things. But also the difference is we are also in a time where Gen Z for sure, that's not even that's kind of like the furthest thing in their minds. Like, well, it's not whatever time, it's not 1865. Like, who gives a fuck? You should give a fuck. Because the thing about history repeats itself. Like, again, the bigger picture, the stupider we can make people, the easier it is to move forward. Like, the easier it is to hatch our plan. The the easier it is to manipulate somebody. The point in the big grand scheme of things is when you think about like the deeper you take things, like the idea of Black people not being able to read. People nowadays don't want to read shit. Why would I read? I can just put it in Chat GPT. Why would I read? I can ask Chat GPT, like that PIMDAS question. Somebody responded to me and said, I put it in Chat GPT. I said, ask it with the answer being for and also ask it to show your work. I put it in Chat GPT too just to see what the fuck it's supposed to say. And it said, well, you're doing it the old way. And then I said, explain to me what PIMDAS is. And it explained it. And then I said, can you tell me why these two are wrong? Well, the way that it's being taught. Oh, oh, oh. So in fact, like I literally remember being in like middle school and like how those T91 calculators are like, everybody got those, you know, you're in school. And I specifically remember them telling us like, you cannot use those. Like it's going to give you the wrong answer. We're going to know. But with that question in particular, where all the people who kept saying your answer is wrong, where that took a turn was when I explained what I explained in 5 different ways. And then also broke the problem down. And like that is the I think the part that be missing something. Like people be missing. I feel like the older generation might have had the knowledge, but didn't know how to teach it. And they kind of gave what they gave, like their contribution was more so like their hands to things, right? Whereas again, too, I feel like Gen Z is more contrarian. Like it's more about individualism and contrarianism than the bigger picture. So, like like the election, for instance, you have so many people, and I think I actually seen a video today where somebody said, like, hood niggas damn near the same thing as like white hillbillies, like white conservatives. If you listen to like their values and like what they talk about, what they preach about, again, bigger part of it is willful ignorance. If you can find people that do not want to do research, like everything that I'm telling you, you just took my advice for face value. You didn't research it. You just took it from what I said, and then you turned around and started to spew it. Going back to again why everybody doesn't need platform. Okay, so last question before we close out. A big concern for me with social media, and not just social media, but like media in general, is there is no middle ground. And I guess you can kind of like you obviously were a generation after me, so you would probably know like my handoff point. But I feel like kids now, especially young adults, teenagers, don't have any middle ground. Like I remember I was growing up and I was watching Raven and Taina and Cheetah Girls and Lizzie McGuire. Like I could keep going. You know what I mean? Like we had so much middle ground media. And I feel like I don't even necessarily want to say like your age, not so much. A couple years later, but I feel like that died off after around your time. No? I don't feel like there's no like teenage like what teenage girl is on TV right now?
What I don't know. I don't watch.
I mean, obviously,
I
but
don't watch TV. Like I don't watch Disney Channel or Nickelodeon.
I don't even. Scared to say this. Is Disney Channel even a thing still? Like, and I want to know what the hell is on there because I don't feel like they have any middle ground or anything that it like that. I don't like. Regardless, I feel like my mama knew who the hell Raven was. You know,
I I I mean, we grew up on That's So Raven, Lizzie McGuire,
so that was still
Cheetah
your age
Girl,
range.
Hannah Montana, Zoe 101, like Drake and Josh. You know, we
Okay, so yeah, y'all. Well, I feel like y'all's age group was the last ones for
that's
that
what I'm
because I
saying.
wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like our age group, we experienced a lot of life before social media and before technology. Like a lot. At least my
Age
I don't
group.
know how
That is a wide because what did he say? Gen Z went to like 2012 or something, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Gen Z is 97 to 2012.
See, like that's a very big age.
Yeah, that's actually insane.
Now I can understand the I just don't think my social media and even high school was dub smash musically. It wasn't like social. It was more of it gives Pinterest. Like we were just
Yeah,
posting. We weren't really interacting with each other in the way that we do now. And I'm only 24, so I would say I got out of high school when I was 18. That's a lot of my life I lived prior to so much social interaction, so much technology, so much dependence on
I definitely like.
AI.
You know what's so crazy? Like that is such a. I don't like that they grouped them together. I feel like five years should be
The cutoff.
yeah for each, because I feel like 5 years is a long ass time for people to group
Yeah.
a whole.
Because that's saying you're comparing or putting me and Jason in the same
Yeah,
group of people, and we're just
yeah, not yeah,
I'm not the same as Jai. She grew up 100% iPads, social media,
yeah,
whereas it was there. The iPhone 4 came out when I was in the 4th grade, so we had minute phones, and we're doing our homework by paper and pencil and writing paragraphs with the indent and knowing how to
yeah.
learn how to use a computer because that's when computers were becoming like in classrooms and learning software application and still have to use
Did you just
textbook.
make us speaking?
I don't think so.
Why does every? I want to know anybody in the freaking
What
comment.
is that?
Mavis Beacon was like it was a way that we learned how to type. Like it was a typing thing, and it used to be like spaceships. It was fun.
Oh, I don't know if it was called that, but we had a lot of
Like Mavis Beacon was a program.
yeah, we had a lot of programs on our computers to teach us how to type and
I feel like
use
that's the millennial
computers.
thing.
But even now, like depending on what you do in college, you still have to learn those same skills. But I don't know. I didn't have ChatGPT to get me through high school, if I'm being honest.
I didn't have Chat GP to get me to no fucking schooling.
But
If I write a whole motherfucking paper, that is gonna piss me off. Okay, well, let's have something to close this out with. This long. Okay, last question. What do you think young people actually need from their siblings that they don't always get?
support, grace, boundaries, respect, patience, love,
Okay, so what is something about our relationship that you're grateful for?
conversations, deeper level thinking. It's annoying in the moment. Depending on what she edits out, you can tell in my demeanor things are annoying in the moment, but in the grand scheme of things, when I can sit down and I don't know if this is a sibling thing or if this is a Denver Courtney thing or if this is a Denver Gemini thing.
Sagittarius.
Because to know me is to know I'm very big on zodiac signs. I heavily believe in zodiac signs. And I heavily have a distaste for Geminis.
She loved me though.
But I love my sister and both of my parents who just so happen to be.
That's a lot of Gemini.
It's a lot. And for them to all be older than me, influences or role models or whatever the hell, it could be a lot for the mental when you don't like that shit, respectfully.
I don't even know how to close this out.
I wouldn't say it was fun, but she read me to feel that she would say. And I don't like that.
I don't feel like I read you for Phil.
I do.
You do?
I do. And when you watch it back, and if you watch it back and
You was
still
definitely
know,
giving sourpuss.
because it was just like shit on Gen Z, shit on your answer, shit.
I don't want you to think that it's shit. But I do feel like if something is for you and you do feel passionate about it, I do think that's something that you should consider when you're doing things is what marker stain are you leaving for something? Or kind of like when I brought up the kid thing is how is somebody looking at you or viewing you? Like again, we've had this conversation when I was dancing and you was young as fuck and you kept trying to follow me on social media and I said, block the fuck out of your ass because I realized that that wasn't for you to see at that time. Was it something I was ashamed of? No. Was it something that was, well known and it was like, why are you blocking me? It had more to do with understanding my influence and my place in the world. And even with this podcast, like I realized that I have a platform, right? And something that I want to be sure that I'm doing is um adding more to the conversation, right? Because I'm not saying that what you said is wrong. However, you have to look at or think about the people that are receiving that. A lot of people today do not have their own thoughts. Very rarely are you coming across people with their own thoughts. People are trying to copy what they see or what's trendy or what's whatever because again, oh, I want to be an influencer. The idea and the concept of wanting to influence others, but also not having anything real to influence is crazy. You know what I mean? Like again, even me, if you pay attention to the things I talk about and how I talk about them on social media, it is again to push us further, to get people to think, to get people to want to do better or to go to therapy or to change their actions for the better, no matter what it is. But again, the more you think about, no matter how big or small a platform is, what you're actually putting out to the world, how things mean. It's things I didn't say I could say out and I don't remember it. That people be like, you remember when you said this to me? You gotta think about things like that. So it's not that I think that your answer is wrong, but again, the black community in general is in crisis, sister. It is in crisis. And talking about no goddamn trips and luxury and all that, we don't need somebody to get fucking off us. If niggas ain't, that's what I was trying to get to in FBPA. But if we are not picking up where our ancestors left off, that's what they want us to do. Quite literally. The government is hoping, let these black motherfuckers get on TikTok and do a little 1-2, as opposed to going to run for office, going to run for mayor, going to run for whatever it is. Because why in the fuck do you think we're in the administration that we're in right now? They not worried about this because now we're in a position that our elders, our ancestors fought for us to be in. They were fighting for civil rights. They were fighting for black people and white people to be in the same places together. That's normal to us. So of course we're not even, to millennials included. We are not even growing up with the understandings or even the idea or the experiences that they have. So yes, when they say shit like they think we're late, and even this goes for millennials too, we're entitled and we're lazy and we're all these things, does it make sense? Absolutely. Because we are not pushing the needle forward. We are not moving forward because we're so comfortable in the things that we already have that we didn't have to work for. I would absolutely be looking at the younger generations crazy as hell if there was no way in hell that I could barely vote. I could barely fucking vote. And you over here talking about you don't want to vote. It's stupid to vote. Our votes don't count. Our votes don't matter. Gen Z wouldn't be thinking like that if motherfuckers told them they couldn't vote. You get what I'm saying? Case in point. Like, it's never about inherently being right or wrong. But like, again, for me, with this pod, with what I want to talk about, like even this, I hope that I'm kind of getting your gears shifting a little bit different so that am I telling you not to be an influencer? Am I saying that in general? No. What I'm saying is influence with a purpose. Like for me, I hope that there are people your age that are watching this like, damn, didn't think about it like that. But I hope that this is pushing the conversation forward because even the things that I'm talking about, again, even boomers back, if there's somebody 50 or 60 plus that's watching this and literally kind of thinking like, yeah, that's what I be wanting to say with my grandkids, but I don't know how to fucking say it like that. That's literally what it is. Shit, even millennials, I can say that. But that wasn't the thing that was pushed for us either. Now y'all are in a place where y'all do, if influence is the thing to do, they're not leaning on it. That's not the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, today the kids should be in politics. heavily, heavily. Because this is the time where influence does get you places. That's not what people are using their influence for. They're not getting people to the polls. Like, do you remember fucking Vote or Die? Fuck Diddy. But like, do you remember like that?
Well, fuck Diddy.
But like, even in the
Hashtag,
shows,
I love Diddy. Standing with Diddy.
cut this fucking mic. Cut the goddamn mic.
Hashtag, it's okay to be a freak.
Denver.
Hashtag, we do not stand with domestic abuse. Hashtag, rest in peace, Tupac. Rest in peace, Biggie.
All right, guys, before tensions run absolutely too high, because this girl has obviously lost her damn minds. This has been another episode of Everything is Onions with my favorite little sister. I am Koko, your favorite host with the most. I'm just a girl with a million thoughts, and
Denver, the coolest kid on the block,
aka my sugar bear. And we will catch you guys on the next episode. If you guys like what you heard or you agree more with the millennial, let us know what you are. Millennials, Gen Z, boomers, Gen X in the comments. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.